How did you get in? How did you start?
I loved weed as soon as I started smoking weed at like 14. And I had ADD pretty bad, and they were giving me Ritalin and Dexedrine, these like stimulant pills are supposed to help you with your focus. And they did for a minute, but then I smoked weed and like it was like clarity. It was like I didn't want to touch those pills ever again. And I realized how bad they were for me once I realized what they were. It was just like methamphetamine or whatever it is they're giving you. And weed was just a magic moment for me.
It's the Lasagna Ganja podcast with Mr. X to the Z Xzibit.
And I'm Tammy, a.k.a. the Cannabis Cutie.
Yes, and we have a wonderful episode for you guys today. Really, really great times with this guy coming on the show today. We got a lot of history. He's been in cannabis for, I don't know, as long as I can remember. As soon as I met him in the cannabis, he was the cannabis industry in the Valley. All right. Okay. So his name is Brett Feldman, but you know him as WonderBrett. WonderBrett Genetics. WonderBrett has started from, I think we were there when WonderBrett started. And then to see where it is today, do you know WonderBrett?
I know WonderBrett.
Yes.
They had an event that I went to where there was live art happening and live performances. It was such a fun event. I think like Snoop Dogg ended up coming. Pooh Bear was there.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a really fun event. So love their flower, love their branding, been to their store on La Brea a couple of times as well. So definitely very aware of the brand.
Yeah, man. So WonderBrett is in the studio with us today. And let's start from the beginning, man. How did you get into cannabis? What made you get into cannabis? I mean, like from the very beginning, you can't lie because I was there.
Yeah.
So yeah. How did you get in? How did you start?
I loved weed as soon as I started smoking weed at like 14. And I had ADD pretty bad, and they were giving me Ritalin and Dexedrine, these like stimulant pills are supposed to help you with your focus. And they did for a minute, but then I smoked weed and like it was like clarity. It was like I didn't want to touch those pills ever again. And I realized how bad they were for me once I realized what they were. It was just like methamphetamine or whatever it is they're giving you. And weed was just a magic moment for me. And then from there, I went to college in Humboldt. So I was chasing the weed right out the gate, you know, like all the way through high school. I was around a unique circle of people that had really good weed. Like it was a status symbol even before I went to Humboldt to try to have like the best indoor grown local something. And so that's why I went to Humboldt. And then I met you when I came back from Humboldt, and in the Tower Records on Balboa, right next to Fat Burger.
Yeah.
And your voice is undeniable. It's so unique, like a signature. And you were talking to the guy at the counter, and I was like, I think it's Xzibit, you know, like Paparazzi was a smash at that moment, and a few other songs I didn't probably know about, but I'd seen you perform with the Alcoholics.
Yes.
When I was in high school at this place, there's an underground LA scene with like Unity shows. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Those are some of the best shows ever. I saw you, Alcoholics.
Wu-Tang was there for the, you know, Redman would come. It was like the place where if you loved hip hop, like all the artists from out of town would come perform there with local artists. And it was like the Bigger B, rest in peace, and Orlando would put these like nights together where all of the, you know, hip hop, you know,
Far Side.
Yeah. Like Will I Am, formerly known as Will 1X from At Band Clan, was there. And he had the same guys with him, and they had these dance circles. It was like the premier hip hop place. And of course we were in there trying to get on ourselves, you know. It was a good time.
That was the first time I ever actually saw you. I didn't know of you until I saw that show. with the alcoholics, and I was like, oh, he's dope. And that's when I got turned on to paparazzi after that. And 40 Days and 40 Nights came. And
but this is about cannabis, so fuck all that. Let's get back to that.
So I came back
Let's
from Humble.
get back to how you got to the cannabis.
I always do that. But so when I came back from Humble, I got introduced to the original OG Kush strain.
Yes, with a Josh D.
Yeah, the Josh D cut. I didn't actually meet Josh till a few years later, but I got introduced to the strain, and a friend of his gave me the strain in San Francisco. I drove to the Bay. I was buying all the weed from him, bringing it to LA, and everybody was loving the OG. And then he gave me the strain to grow it. I met you at the record store probably like after my second harvest, and I was pretty proud of how the weed came out.
Yeah.
So I was like, yo, here's my number in a jar. And then you called me like an hour later, like come to the studio, or no, come to the video shoot. You were shooting the year 2000. And that's when I met Reese in the trailer, and everybody was hanging out, and you were wearing like the president outfit.
Okay, let's not go down the rabbit hole of what we were wearing.
Details, you know?
I know.
But that's how it started, you know, like that I was already kind of like in the scene, you know, with the weed everywhere and starting to grow with other friends. But really, like when I met you in your circle was what kind of like pushed me into like I never seen anybody so young and successful and like able to dream so big. And then you showed me this whole world, and I thought, well, I could do anything, you know, with weed. So it opened up so many doors, you know, like before you know it, I was bringing weed to, Aftermath over there at Encore and what's the place off Ventura Boulevard?
Yes.
Yeah. And the place in Burbank over there too. So
all those places.
Yeah.
See, we have a very personal intertwined history.
Yeah.
And you know, even the name WonderBrett came from like our interactions. Yeah. It didn't start out as WonderBrett.
It was Brett the Super White Man. That's what they used to call me all the time.
Okay.
And it was like I just wore it as a badge of honor. It was like
so there's a story behind that.
There's not many other white guys around here.
Before we get into the story of that, like back when Louis Armstrong and the jazz scene was really popping into their reefer, they had a white boy, the reefer man, white boy that always had that fire, mez bro. So, you know.
You want the best weed. I mean, we were always the most fanatical about trying to create the best weed. For some reason, we were able to hide in plain sight without getting caught as easily.
That's exactly what it was. He had the best Mary Warner.
Yes. Brett came through and saved the day. He had there was a few good bags in LA. Kenji was definitely one of them. Be real, Cypress had the weed.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like as far as growing. And then, you know, Brett was like, boom, you know what I'm saying? Like he came on and he was like, he just got started, and then we started like hanging out together. He got the nickname Brett the Super White Man. You know what I'm saying? Like that stuck. You know what I'm saying? Like we would leave like there's a guy come and leave a badge for Brett the Super White Man. It was wild. But so that transformed into, you know, fast forward, of course you can't put Brett the Super White Man on your packaging, but it turned into WonderBrett, right? Which is a great compromise. I think you did good with it. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I see what you did there.
I polished it up a little. I made it so my mom and my dad and my grandma would be like, that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
You know, but yo, man, I'm so proud of what you've been able to do and produce with this brand. So give me some analytics, man, because, you know, you started from like, we'll before we get into the business side of what it is, let's talk about your passion for growing and what is your relationship like with cultivation and the plant. You know what I'm saying? Because it goes way back. We got some stories, but I'll let you kick it off.
It stems from my parents' family business, which is a catering company, and being in the food industry and trying to have the best food. Like I approach it from the style of a chef, right? So presentation, the experience, the flavor, all of these things are equally important to me. And even when I first met you, like just trying to grow the weed to be like, this is some of the best weed there is, right? It was undeniable. Everybody loved that weed. and got a lot of respect and adulation from people that it was like reinforcement to tell me that I was doing something good, even when the rest of the world was like, you could go to trouble, you get in jail or in trouble for this. So after all these years of being told that like, oh man, you're just some weed guy, like now you see that it's legal, it's a real industry, it commands respect from certain groups of people. There'll always be people that will hate on weed or alcohol or music or certain industries, no matter what. Some people are just too wound too tight, right? But weed is a special thing. Like the way it brought us together in our friendship, like the way that opened up doors for opportunities for myself, for my family. It changed the trajectory of my whole life, right? So the approaching it like from the catering side, like a chef, these flavors, this offering, that's the approach, right? All the different flavors and different and unique experiences, like, the events and stuff like that you've been to, and that's the approach.
Yeah. Do you consider WonderBrett like a boutique brand, or do you, as big as it's gotten, like, do you still consider it a small business?
I think we're still a small boutique brand. I don't think we'll ever change from that. When the quality of our flower can compete with small home grows, small batch stuff from other places, when we're doing it at scale at that level, and guys from around the world will travel to come get the Pink Picasso, the OZ Kush, our original OG cut, the Black Orchid, or our new strain Kush Cola. Like people will travel all over the world to come get our weed and go to where we sell it legally, like, because we're not trappers anymore,
right?
So we're never gonna change that. There'll be offerings always that will be for special deals and discounts and stuff like that. Weed is a really unique thing. It's different than alcohol, right? We play in the same mindset of quality and branding in that sense, but like weed doesn't get better with age like alcohol does. So it's a perishable, highly regulated, highly taxed, and highly perishable too. So you have to, at certain points, run a discount, 1/2 ounce bags for this, and I think it's good to do that because people really just want to smoke more weed at the end of the day anyway.
Right.
And when they get to smoke more quality weed, they're less likely to go back to whatever they were smoking before that wasn't, approached in that same mindset of like, there's a lot of brands out there that just white label stuff from other people, or don't have that. Like our brand is I think like a grower's favorite type brand because of how we control our product.
Yes.
Right. Versus some.
And you said something very important there. You said a few things, but let's deal with that first. You said, like having your own cultivation as a brand is essential. When we first started Napalm, we didn't have cultivation. We had to source. It was a shit show. It really damaged some things, but now we fixed it. We have cultivation. We're really happy with it. Specific grown genetics and strains for Napalm, and that was very important. So I understand what you mean with that, and you've been able to do that from the beginning, which is very commendable.
It's the quality control. It's your reputation. Like you're only as good as your last bag, and if your last bag was whack, then people are going to go somewhere else. So
yes, because the rest are doo doo.
Yeah. There's a lot of overproduction out there. You know?
So you said something before that. You said something about is highly regulated.
Yeah.
As a business owner, as a grower, you understand the fees and taxes that's put upon cannabis before it even gets out the door one time, right?
Yeah.
So give us your insight, because we've had a whole episode about this, but give us a brief overview of how you feel about the regulations for cannabis, how it is being overly regulated in your opinion, and our opinion as well. But what have your experiences been like?
Yeah, I mean, you have some.
Well, first explain the scale too. The scale of where WonderBrett is.
Yeah,
that'll give people some perspective on the difference between a small brand and somebody that has built something like you.
So we started in a smaller grow in North Hollywood when we were transitioning from the medical market to the rec. Then we went to a place into Sun Valley, which was like a We started in North Hollywood, about 30 lights. That's what the brand was built off of. And the perception was that we were much bigger because we had a good packaging and quality look. People thought the brand was much bigger. So that allowed us to help get deals done, actually, to fulfill that mentality and perception. So we went to Sun Valley. That was a 150 light grow. We turned that place into something real special. When we went in there, it was old, dilapidated, really need to be rebuilt. We converted the whole place, got great quality coming out. Then we got another deal in Long Beach where right when rec was happening in 2018, and you had to be at a certain scale to make sense of the business. Like that's when we got into the Long Beach facility. We did a equity swap deal. That facility cost $20 to $25 million to build. Our brand was worth maybe 2 or 3 at the time. If we would have had to raise that type of money to do that, I'd still just be an employee for life, so we did a equity swap, got the opportunity to run that facility. And that facility is a 22,000 square foot canopy, has 36 bloom rooms, 4 harvests a week. That was a real large undertaking. It took 2-3 years of my life to figure out that scale of growing and keep the quality and not diminish the reputation, right? So when you get to that scale, growth is a great thing in your brand to be in, a few hundred stores, but growth can kill you too when people don't pay their bills. And the runway for carrying your business for 3 to 6 to 9 months with all types of AR collection problems and pandemics and all of these things all converged.
It was a nightmare.
Yeah, it was tough, right? I never had anxiety till that time, right. Because my dream I didn't know was gonna turn into what it turned into, right? It's like sometimes be careful what you ask for because you might get it, right? So you imagine it to being something different in your head when you conceive it, but when you get there, you're like, oh, there's a lot of red tape.
More money, more problems.
Yeah,
it's a real thing.
Speaking of more problems, so you said you're a social equity applicant.
Yes.
Okay, an equity holder. So for people who are out there watching, social equity, you can qualify in so many different ways, but one is being convicted of nonviolent cannabis charges.
Yeah, or just being arrested. You don't have to
or being arrested. Or growing up in a community that was torn down by the war on drugs are some of the qualifications. So what's the story there?
So I got arrested 2005 or 2006 in Van Nuys. I was at another friend's studio, this band called Medium, and I had bought them this CD burner, right, where you can burn your CDs and print the art on the top.
Motherfucker.
Well, it was for their shit. That wasn't burning your shit.
We know what you were doing, buddy.
This is when you could still like buy the CD cases, slide your own artwork in, print your own CDs.
Yeah.
And they were a dope band, and I was trying to help them out, and I was there late night, and the only place I could get the drivers to upload on the internet was across the street from the studio. And so I was sitting in my car smoking. It was like midnight, 1 a.m, and these cops drive by, and they just see me sitting there with this laptop, and I'm trying to like download, the drivers for this printer to work, right? And they pull up on me, and then boom, they're like,
you were just getting work done.
Yeah. I was literally.
You weren't even like in a cultivation facility. I thought it was like you got caught at the grow.
No.
Pushing stuff.
I got caught slipping on some stupid shit, really. Like, and of course I'd forgot that I had like 3 or 4 ounces in the trunk of the car.
It was stinking.
Yeah, and I was sitting in the car smoking. Like it was hot boxed, like. So immediately I got, arrested. They took me down to Van Nuys, and I thought that was like the worst thing that ever happened. And then eventually got that case thrown out because of illegal search and violating a few of my rights. So the case got thrown out, and I got lucky. But then, I got lucky again with social equity coming around. And I didn't know that I qualified for it until my attorney was like, you qualified. And I was like, oh, wow, let's apply. So we applied. and I qualified for all the parameters of it. And then when the city of LA opened up the licensing process for applications for dispensaries, they only gave out, I think, 300. And I was like one of the first 20 on the list they got selected. And that was just like pure destiny or luck or.
Yeah, what was that process like? Because I remember it was frustrating when
it was.
first
You had to
rolled
fill out everything super quick, get onto this portal and put on your information as fast as possible and submit it. And the guy that was working the computer behind that was doing it for us, he was fast. He had everything copied and pasted in these files. So he knew all he had to do was like copy, click, paste, copy, click, paste.
Okay.
He had all the information pre-selected.
Ready for submission.
So he was pretty savvy because I would have never thought of that.
Yeah.
And I'd have been there writing my name and address, like one finger typing, like.
Yeah.
But so other people got in before us, so they must have been faster some ways. But we got lucky and we got that, and that got the first store, and that grand opening was sick. That's where you came, and Pooh Bear was there, and Snoop and Problem performed.
Yeah.
I know I invited you, but you didn't come. But you got into cannabis a little bit later, right after that,
right?
And with napalm and everything, and that was really dope to see you do that. So I mean, that was kind of evolution for a lot of like 20 plus years till now.
Okay.
Kind of.
Okay. Well, I think it's a good part for us to take a smoke break.
Yeah. Let's do
it.
We're gonna get back into this, man. So listen, there are so many things that we could talk about, but let's talk about your new products that you have coming out. You have new seeds. We're talking about cultivating. I know you cultivate a lot of strains for WonderBrett, but how many strains and what's the mindset? How many strains do you have coming out in your new seed line, and what was the mindset behind getting those seed lines out?
Yeah, so Birdseed Genetics is the name of the new brand. That's going to be this vehicle for me to share a lot of genetics with the world. So WonderBrett brand has historically probably had about 30 strains, maybe 35 strains we put out. And we always put out 3 or 4 new strains every year. But I've been breeding for years and years and years, and I have a vast library that is just too many different varieties to sit on and just take to the grave. So Birdseed is going to allow me to create, things that I can't put out in WonderBrett right now, because the menu, you can't put out just so much at once.
Right.
People want me to maintain the menu because they like the strains we have, right? But they also want me to put out 1 or 2 a year. So in a 1 year time, I might make 100 new crosses, and have done that for a few years in a row. So there's hundreds of strains that I've created that I can't get to in this lifetime, no matter how hard I try. So I really want to share these things with the people. I want other people to have the genetics that we've created that are, I believe, some of the most sought after, high-end, unique terpene profiles, great highs, like the reason why people like our brand, essentially, right? So so Birdseed is my new baby, It's like got an Egyptian theme. It's got a dope bird.
Yeah. Do you guys give out the SOPs on how? Do you give instructions on how
to grow?
Yeah, or suggestions about how to grow?
Yeah, I mean, I've given away game for years. The sauce on that, and people hit me up. Like I was just at an event in Arizona. A guy who's another breeder's asked me all types of questions, trying to pick my brain. I just give him the answers, because it's like this knowledge is accumulated over years and years and years of me doing this with all my partners and other people that have been in this industry. We've all collaborated, and everybody has a different style to it regardless. Like I could tell you exactly how to do it, and you'd just be like, nah, I'm not doing it that way, I'm doing it this way, because I saw this video on YouTube, or I saw this thing in a High Times magazine, or there's lots of like myths out there that people put a lot of weight into until they actually get into it and do it for a few years, trial and error. Then they realize, okay, it's different than what a lot of other people made it out to be. And if you're willing to see what we've done and go, oh wow, those guys actually know what they're doing, I'll replicate that. That's great. But still, even you have to have the passion to follow every nuance to that level, right? Some people don't have it in their mind to be that to aim for that level of quality or excellence, like that comes out in your personality and in your team and your mindset. Just as if, like, going back to the restaurant, like when we made food, we tried to make the best of everything, and that was our reputation. And it's like being mediocre. No one really remembers that long term, right? So it's a lot about legacy and respect, not really about money as much, right? And so when people try to make the most amount of money, they normally try to make the product for as cheap as possible and compromise the quality and the integrity of the flower and the whole experience overall. And it's like the difference between Taco Bell and your genuine.
Yeah.
But the home grower wants to know how to grow quality for their own purposes.
For sure.
So a manual or some tips, like I have people, that is like the number one thing. Are you going to make a growing course?
I've thought about writing a book several times.
A book.
Yes,
yeah, I'd love to write a book. I just need someone who's someone who's been through that process to be like, okay, this is
No, you don't.
the outline to
yeah,
do it.
you can get a ghostwriter.
No, you don't.
I don't want someone to write it for me.
No, I mean, but they'll help you with the exactly what you said,
dude,
structuring.
I got you. Don't trip.
Okay,
I got
perfect.
You.
Yeah,
I got you. You want to do it like a cookbook, or do you want to do it like a manual, or do you want to do like an autobiography?
I think there's levels to it.
Oh, so you want to do an autobiography?
No, like it's gotta
what
be
I mean
like
is
how
like a
to.
beginner's level, like
yeah, 101.
the basics, and then like something that's more nuanced where you're like, this is the science and the approach behind all these things. Because there's a very basic way to do it where you can get from A to B and you can, depending on the scale, right?
Right.
If you got 2 lights, or 1 light in your garage, like there's a whole lot of things that can be much more simple, right? But when you're growing in, 1,000 pounds to 1,500 pounds a month at scale with a lot of employees and all this segmented groups of communication.
Yeah, you would have to definitely break it down. But you can do that in the chapters. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. It's
I just don't want to overcomplicate it because I'm really good at doing that.
Make one for the home growers. Like there is a fight and a war right now for home grow. Like and home growers, it's not like growing tomatoes. Like we don't have that shared knowledge yet. So we just need the basic how to do it. And yes, the best advice I give everybody is just to do it. Expect your plants to die the first couple of rounds. Like just keeping it real. Like it's difficult, and we don't have like just that. I can call my friend and say, hey, my plant has these white spots on the leaves. What does that mean? Like, can we get like a, frequently asked questions or common issues like manual, and just here's different ways to pop the seeds, and here's how you can plant it, and here's some like different soils and different uses, like just something so simple from a trusted source like you. Like it doesn't even need to be long, but home growers need something that's easy, like dumb it down for everybody, because there's
and you
a
can
lot
do
of
audio
good
book
stuff
because
out there.
people don't read anymore. You know what I'm saying? That, you can kill it.
I would even do like the YouTube chapters too, like where you film it. You're like, you're like, this is how you cut a clone. This is how you pop the seeds. This is how you transplant. This is the basics on your environmentals and all these things. Because everything, to be successful, you have to mesh everything together. It's not just one little bit, and you kind of have to do everything at the right time and the right amount of water. It's just, that's why I really equate it to
teaching people the basics, and then they can take the recipe and do what they, and then make it their own
sauce on it.
That's why I equate it to cooking so much.
Yeah, it is just like cooking. Everybody has their own different ways of going about it. And, just like gardeners, like they all have great bounty at the end. But of course, they think their techniques are better. It makes the flavor more pronounced. And it's, there's just that pride that goes along with what you just were able to create. So yeah, you have to get in there and do it. But a lot of people don't even know how to get starting. So yeah, we need like a from cutting to combustion series.
Yeah. And then there's a budget attached to that. It's like, you're like, oh yeah, we'll solve that problem by just plugging in some dehumidifiers. You're like, wait, I have to go buy a dehumidifier for $500. Like, oh wait, I don't have electricity in my room enough. I have to get an electrician to put in more electricity. Like these things, they just lead to this rabbit hole of like, oh man, this costs a lot of money to do.
Yeah. Speaking of that, Tammy, did I tell you that when Brett started growing, that he grew? I let him grow in my house.
You did not tell me that.
Yeah, it was a disaster.
Yeah, wait. Don't just jump to that. Don't just jump to that.
It was a disaster. Okay.
It makes you feel better already just to say it.
Okay, good. Let's go.
All right, so listen.
Yeah.
Wait, this was peak in the era when everyone was growing weed in mansions?
We just first got together. This was like a year or two into our relationship.
It was in a mansion.
Right? Yeah. Listen.
Okay.
This was my first house I ever bought.
And he went on tour, up the smoke tour.
Yes.
He was like, you want to go?
Hold on.
I was like, I can't go.
Hold on. Let me tell you something. This guy had brought us the best weed ever. Okay. And I was like, he knows what the fuck he's doing.
I did.
He knows what he's doing.
Oh my God.
I did.
So I just bought this pad. I was a bachelor, not much in it. Had the main house, nice pool.
Okay.
And it had a guest house in the back.
Is this in the Valley?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I was ecstatic. It was my first property.
All right.
Right? And so I'm like, I'm about to go on tour for months at a time. Hey, Brett, how do you feel about growing in my guest house? Yeah, man, I'll kill it, man. We're gonna fucking kill it. I'm gonna come home from tour. You're gonna have jars on jars on jars. Like, yeah, we fucking celebrated. It was a great fucking idea.
Woo!
It's a great idea.
It was a great idea.
It was. And so
the execution.
I go on tour. And I give him. Listen. Stop sabotaging the story.
I was sabotaged.
Stop sabotaging the story. Gave him full access, right? In the fucking guest house, right? That's where you're supposed to grow the fucking weed, right? Yeah. Okay, so I do the tour. Long story short, I don't hear from him. Not worried about it. Don't trip. Getting kind of, getting some tidbits of information here and there, but really not investigating because I don't believe anything could go wrong. I get home from tour and I walk in my house and there are tables of dead weed and trays in my main house, in every room.
Not every room.
Every fucking room.
Now it's the living room and the kitchen area.
Hey.
In the bathroom.
Sidebar. Yeah. Did you get cussed out?
Hey, no. Oh, wait. We're going to get there.
No, I didn't wait for that. I was like, he had too many guns. I was like,
in the guest house, same thing. So.
Oh, no.
This is where the nuances of knowledge comes from.
So look, I am furious. I am furious. Not only is there water damage, there is like
mold.
Oh man, it's horrible. Shit all over the place. And I'm like, I start hitting him. I'm like, I know he's gonna call me back. I know he's gonna call me back. I know he go.
He was too mad. I couldn't answer the phone.
Yo. So I get everything cleaned up. And
yeah,
I was, and so I saw him later. Yes, we fixed it. Okay. Yeah. Long story short is we fixed it. And I was like, bro, you were supposed to be in the guest house. He said, listen, and I'll never forget. He said, listen, bro, it started failing in the guest house. I didn't want it to disappoint you, so I went in the main house. And when that failed, it snowballed. I didn't know what to do. I said, nigga. It's a phone call. You know what I'm saying? It's like I would have been more forgiving and understanding rather than coming home to like,
damn,
oh my
right after
fucking
tour?
God. Right after tour.
Oh,
you know when you come home, you want to put your bag down and I walked in the motherfucking naked and afraid.
Dang, I know know you felt terrible.
I did.
You were shaking in your boots.
I definitely did.
Yeah, but it was good.
But let me explain.
Yes. Okay, please explain your side of, because that was my perspective.
What was that girl that you dated from Las Vegas?
No.
What was the girl's name? The accountant that you were dating.
No, we're not going there, motherfucker. No,
it's simple.
My life is simple as fuck right now. Okay, we're not talking about nothing.
There was somebody who closed the ventilation where the hot air was supposed to go out. Right? So air conditioning's back in that day.
No.
This is 99, year 2000. Like there
Why
wasn't.
Couldn't you just say the ventilation got closed? Why did you have to bring up the motherfucking?
But why are we bringing it back up? It was done.
Because I know this guy. I'm like, Brett, don't do that.
That's over 20 plus years ago. How many? You still gonna get in trouble for some shit 20 years ago?
No, man, it's weird shit happening right now. Okay. Google's a motherfucker.
Yeah, that was one of the ones I really regret. You know, like I didn't manage.
Ruined my brand new house. I was so happy with that house.
And you guys are still friends.
Yeah. Absolutely,
that's love.
Yeah. Absolutely, because look, man.
And once we sat down, I realized how forgiving he was.
Wow.
But I was really scared though, because I was like, I was gonna go there, right? And then I saw everything in the alley. He just was so mad. He just threw the lights, the trays, everything was just sitting in the alley. And I was like, oh no, I just literally like just kept driving down the alley. I was like, nah, this is gonna turn out bad.
Yeah.
And I just kept going.
But it was.
And then a year later, I saw you. And we settled it all.
A year later.
A year later,
like a year. Yeah.
There's
no way we weren't gonna run into each other. But
here's the thing: I'm not gonna fucking look, dude. It was as disappointing as it was until we sat down. I was very angry, but at the same time, it was like it was a risk. It was like, you know, it was what we did. You know what I'm saying? And so So I was a little disappointed that we didn't have the conversation while it was happening. Even when it failed, it was just like, yo, I got it. I would have been like, well, don't let the shit flood all over the fucking floor. We'll get home and start over. That would have been better. You know what I'm saying?
Made a lot of mistakes in my life.
but again, starting from those beginnings is where, you know, WonderBrett got its beginnings. It was like trial and error.
Failure.
Oh yeah,
right? Trial and error.
No, there was a bigger. I've had many floods.
Okay.
So in the growers circle of growers worlds, this is why like renters don't want to rent to growers anymore, because the water damage eventually happens. There's always eventually a hose that slips off.
Yeah.
Something that's an air conditioner that's dripping, like that eventually you're doing an agricultural job inside of a residential home. The two don't mix.
Right.
Right? Like there's a reason why people build greenhouses.
Right.
You know, like so because eventually, even trying to be as perfect as you can, you eventually have an accident. And that was one of those scenarios. One of these other scenarios when I met you, I was growing in an apartment, in a 2-bedroom apartment. I was on the 2nd floor.
Oh God!
And when I had the flood, this would be the episode. This is how my TV show would start. It would be called The Flood, right? And it would just be like I was playing with the TiVo because TiVo was just came out, and you're like boop 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 boop, you're watching Simpsons in reverse, whatever, you know, like
what?
Simpsons, you know, you could like rewind it and watch it, you know, like TiVo.
Oh, I was about to say, you watch TV shows in reverse, you're fucking weirder than I thought.
No. That's just the dyslexia. But I was filling this reservoir up with the water, like this 50-gallon reservoir to water these plants. And I bought a new pump. It was way too strong. And I started to fill it and turn it on. And I walked out of the room, and something shifted in the tank. And the pump just started shooting the water straight out. And I'm like, what is that waterfall sound? And I literally was just like, oh shit. Like the light bulb went off my head of like fear and everything. And I just running down the hallway, and literally down this hallway, I'm hitting the carpet and the water is splashing up. You know what I mean? Like waist high. I was like, before you know it, the whole tub was drained on the floor. And the person who lived below me was luckily not there. and a whole sheet of drywall dropped out
Oh my gosh.
of from that floor below onto this person into this person's bedroom, because the bedrooms are stacked like on top of each other, right? In an apartment, like it's the same design below and above, right? Like, so I had this 2-bedroom apartment. One was a little room to live in, and one was the 2-3 lights, right? And that was the worst flood that I ever dealt with.
So how did that pan out? Who did what?
So fortunately, the heavens or the weed gods were watching out for me, because it was during a time period where it was like raining for like a week straight. And
so they blamed it on the rain.
Yes, because like the shitty apartment, like the stairs going up to my apartment would flood because they didn't have drainage.
It leaked.
And then the patio would fill up with like an inch of water. You have to literally like leap to the front door to get past this puddle. So the whole thing was flooded, and I was just like, well, I'm out. I'm not dealing with this shitty apartment. So I was just packing everything up as fast as possible as soon as it happened, and getting everything out like in the middle of the night. And luckily the person wasn't home for that weekend.
Right.
They came home from the weekend. Yeah. This drywall dropped on their bed. I could see it through the window of their apartment. Like, I was just, thank God it was that, I mean, this is like, you know, these are the things that happen, the trials and tribulations of all of these times of growing, when growing was so illegal. There was no help. There was no internet to help you. There was no community to help you. You were figuring everything out on your own, and, you know, how to grow, how to get electricity so that you were like, you can do more than 2 lights. Eventually you realize you can't do it in a house. You have to go to a industrial building, right? So you can get a 400 amp panel or an 800 amp panel, and then you can expand to a 30 light grow.
Right. And then transferring from that into a 22 to 25,000 square foot grow. Like, how's the rotation on that? Like, how many units are you pulling out of there a week, a month, a year?
15. It's 1,200 to 1,500 units or pounds a month out of that facility is like the ebb and flow of it, right? And because some strains you're running will yield more at certain times, or you're having an issue in the building and there's something that happened. Like with as many rooms that building has, it's 36 rooms, 4 harvests a week. It never stops. That pace is like learning how to grow at light speed, at scale, right? Because it just never stops, and there's just one harvest after another. So you're learning a lot really quickly, which it helped, I think, to dial that building in faster. But it still is a challenging facility for anybody to run. I don't run it anymore. I just consult on like how the SOPs and everything's ran, so I can travel around and go to Arizona and go to Michigan or go to New Jersey.
Where you're opening up your new retail. Is it retail or just cultivation, or just putting the brand there?
Just putting the brand there with cultivation, right? And that's New Jersey. That's the next one right now. So Michigan's been there for about almost 2 years.
How's that market treating you?
It's up and down. It's like when the economy is good, then everything's great, right? But like everywhere else in cannabis, there's a lot of like boom and bust. Like, it's a new market, so it booms really hard. Everybody runs in, overproduces, overbuilds, then it floods the market, then it becomes very difficult. And it's like the music industry, right? Like, when everything got flooded with so much music, it's like no matter how good you are.
Yeah, when you was burning my CDs.
I was selling them out. See, we'd go to the concerts, and I would sell his CDs in the parking lot. And then we would chop up the money.
No, I wouldn't. You didn't chop shit with me, buddy.
You remember that?
Yeah. All right.
It's like when it gets oversaturated, you know, everybody tries everything. So no matter what, you're going to suffer. While that time period of everybody trying all of these things, even when they come back to you at some point, it took time, right? So you go up and down always.
Did the retail store help with the brand?
It helped with notoriety for the brand and a certain level of stature, but it actually hurt the brand in LA. Because before that, we would be in every store around there, right? Once you open up your own retail, and people are like, well, why would they come to our store when the WonderBrett store is right there? So it creates a conflict. It's like they basically just don't want to carry your brand because you have a retail. And now they view you as competition in retail, right? So it's like having a store is really good for certain aspects, but it actually hurt us in certain ways because we were probably in 30 stores in Hollywood in that whole area around there. But over time, when they start to realize your store is, you know, a destination for WonderBrett, like they're like, they'll focus with another brand. So it was good and bad in certain ways. You know, if you have the ability to just keep going vertical and just opening up more stores and more stores, that becomes a good thing, like for kind of like a wall of defense or a safety net for your brand. But it again alienates you with other stores, right? Like, you know, Louis Vuitton, you know, same scenario, right? Like,
right. If you name the brand the same name as they name the store the same as the brand.
Yeah.
Then it becomes a big deal.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Totally. If I would have not named it the WonderBrett store and we would have named it like, you know, Weed Shack, like no problem. No one would have ever said anything. But having a flagship store like our store, and
it's like an Apple store.
Yeah. That's what we wanted. That's what we want for the brand, and we want that to be the franchise model for the brand for when we talk to people in New Jersey or another state or something like that about a retail eventually. The main focus is always the flower, right? But when the opportunity does come, we want to be able to point to the store and be like, that's what it should look like. And this is how we build out our stores.
Right.
And this is what it looks like when you build a WonderBrett store. And if you want that as a weapon in your market, you know, but the focus has always been the quality of the flower and protecting that. In every market we go to, Arizona, Michigan, Oklahoma, wherever it is, New Jersey, like all of these places, the flower needs to be the same as it was when you were introduced to it in California.
Are you going to continue to open stores?
Retail stores? When the opportunity comes. Like, we don't really chase those things because, again, it's a scenario where you have to have deep pockets. You know, building these stores, financing stores, running that. It's not our, like, I would say it's not like our bread and butter or personal, like, ambition to have. Like, I think it's just about having a few locations in the long term with the right partners, right? Like, I don't want to run retail stores personally and be day to day there. I want to help put the image together, the artwork, the menu curated with the strains, and the experience of how the brand does things. But you know, I never really woke up being like, I want to open up 10 stores, and that's not the dream. The dream is to just like put the best flower that we can out and have a really strong reputation for that, and educate people on what good flower is, and show the world that cannabis has all these different really unique varieties. There's so many smokers across the whole nation and across the world that still don't have any idea what good flower is.
Yeah, but that's your passion.
Yeah.
But WonderBrett is, you have partners.
Yeah.
So that they give a fuck about the business.
Yeah.
So you can focus on that passion for the flower.
Yes.
Which makes a really interesting thing because, you know, it allows you to be the artist. It allows you to be the person that cares about the creative. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Whereas you have the Jimmy Iovine behind you. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Yeah.
It's a great marriage with the partners because they're the more sophisticated businessmen. Like, and that was why we partnered with certain people, because my business acumen and level of experience would have never gotten us to where we are. You know, the quality I'll maintain that, but I'm definitely not the guy that is writing the contracts and no understanding all that without someone helping to explain it to me, right? All these little nuances, you know, you've been in the game too. There's just so many little ways you can lose money in this game if you're not paying attention to all the fine details about who's responsible for what when something goes wrong on a delivery or aging inventory or any of these types of, you know, issues. So those are the things that really suck the life out of me when I have to deal with
Tell me about it.
Like headaches.
Dude,
like
I've
that.
had so many. We'll do an episode one day about why the fuck am I doing this?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Totally. You're like, this is not the part that I remember.
Right. And it's still the joy from, you know, doing anything. But
yeah,
I definitely understand that. I feel like the things that are happening for WonderBrett are deserved.
Thank
and you know, I seen you come up from like literally from the bottom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And to be able to, you know, see these products and see the ingenuity and innovation that you bring into it, and still have the passion for the flower is very commendable, my friend.
I appreciate that. It's very kind. Thank you.
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah.
It is. You've
been a great friend, and I'm honestly like, you've been an inspiration in my life. You've been someone who's very supportive. You've opened up opportunities for me.
Yeah.
You've been very generous and also just like all around nice guy. You looked out for me. Like I remember many times just being like on a set or something of a video shoot, and you would send someone to make sure I was okay. You know, like,
yeah, man.
and that I didn't disappear somewhere.
Yeah, man. Come on, man. Nobody fucks with Brett.
Yeah. No, he would always say that too. We'd go to the studio and be like, don't mess with him.
Yeah,
like,
no, it's good, man.
I always felt very comfortable.
Safe.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like, you know, like I belonged.
Nah, man, I get it.
Feel very comfortable.
I get it, man. Thank you, bro. But I mean, likewise. So, you know, continued success. Let's get a round two of one of these. I want to see what happens about a year from now with the brand. You know, I want to hear about the other stuff opening up and the other states opening up. You have a lot of great things happening with WonderBrett. How do they get in touch with you?
WonderBrett.com. We have our website, and there's some stuff on there that you can contact us through. WonderBrett _ on Instagram. And also we have our WonderBrett.direct, where you can order, if you're in California, you can order flower online and have it delivered to you. So you get access to special limited drops.
Wow. Okay.
Stuff like that. So, and that allows you to build like customer rewards and stuff like that, you know, get better deals, just be first in line for special experiences that we're trying to curate for.
Hey, Postmates.
Right.
You guys
when are they going to get on board?
put us on. Why don't you do your own distribution, buy all the products, and start a nice little list on Postmates, and deliver our stuff.
Yeah.
Trust me, you'll get a raise. Whoever is in charge of that type of stuff.
Infrastructure is there. I have a question. Can we get a WonderBrett limited edition drop of the super white guy?
Nah, Brett the super white man?
It was like
dude, that'll be, he'll get canceled so fast. We'll be like, what the fuck is this?
How?
The other white people will cancel me.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right. Those
There'll be
white
some
liberals.
Karen. There'll be some Karen who's like,
he's promoting white supremacy.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, but he's not like that.
Yeah. That's why I really like just try to let the product speak for itself. Because,
WonderBrett is safe. It's good.
Yeah,
Hey,
we're in Switzerland over here.
Yeah, speaking of IG, listen, if you want to get in touch with the Lasagna Ganja podcast, we do have an IG. How they find us, Tammy?
At Lasagna Ganja on Instagram or DCPofficial.com.
Yes, come ask questions. Who should we have on next? Who should be in the building? If you have a product, if you have something that you want us to know about, or you think is very innovative in cannabis or culture or combined, please send it to us at the Lasagna Ganja IG. One more time.
At Lasagna Ganja or DCPofficial.com.
That's right. It's going down. We got Brett, WonderBrett in the building. Thank you for everything. Thank you for the information. Thank you for the stories. And we had a good time. It's the Lasagna Ganja podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Check out the Lasagna Ganja podcast wherever podcasts are streamed.
And check out our separate feed with video episodes.
Available on Spotify and YouTube.
For more information, visit DCPofficial.com.